what we're
Recording in
discussing
progress.
tonight about Freddie's book called Portals has to do with connecting with different worlds, different time spaces, different dimensions. And there might be something there that's really going to open up something new for you, or something you've known for a very long time but haven't thought about for a long time. It's hidden somewhere in the recesses of the subconscious, and it's just waiting to come through. So, all right, wonderful. Just carry on with that deep breathing. We're going to image a beautiful column of divine golden light pouring down, and it's filling your entire being. You might hear thunder and lightning in the background here. It's monsoon season in New Mexico, but you've just got that beautiful sparkling golden light pouring down. It's filling every single cell of your being. And any shadowy areas, whether you know where they are or what they are, they're dissipating. They're leaving now. And if you want to image this as a beautiful waterfall of sparkling gold and silver light, that's fine. Just see that flowing down through every single speck of your being. The physical cells, the mental, emotional, and etheric bodies, all the energy bodies is just flowing down. And now if there's something you're wanting to create in your life or release, either is fine. Image now you're in a circle of light, and you just place that into the center of the circle of light. And you can speak aloud the most benevolent outcome prayer, which I find very helpful. It has to be spoken aloud. My angels, I request you assist me in creating this, and name it, or dissolving and healing from this, and go ahead and name it. Whatever's for my higher good, I give thanks, I give thanks, I give thanks. Wonderful. And keep that light coming in and just blessing you as we go. So, all right, let's just look at Freddie's background here, and we will go to the energy updates after that interview. Freddie Silva is a best-selling author and leading researcher of ancient civilizations, restricted history, sacred sites, and their interaction with consciousness. He's published 9 books in 6 languages and produced 15 documentaries. Freddie's most recent book is Portals: Energetic Doorways to Mystical Experiences Between Worlds. He's been described by one CEO as perhaps the best metaphysical speaker in the world right now. He leads sellout tours to sacred sites worldwide, and for 2 decades, he's been an international keynote speaker, in addition to appearances on Gaia TV, the History Channel, BBC, and countless radio shows. And his website is invisibletemple.com. So, all right, wonderful. The book that we're talking about today is Portals. And it's that Common Sense to Sentience is the series. It's just an amazing, beautiful piece of work. Welcome, Freddie. Very glad that you're here.
Hello, Caroline, and New Mexico. I am very envious. I love New Mexico.
Well, we could talk maybe a bit about your adventures at, I'm not sure how to say it, Batai. It's a sacred mountain, a Navajo mountain, which I think is in New Mexico, might be in Arizona. You know, your book is really fascinating. It's your usual mix of scientific with mystical, and just an adventurer's map in some respects. Now, you share with us an experience that you had in maybe your late 20s or something. It was your first encounter with a portal. Could you tell us about that and where that was?
Yeah, it was when I was back in England. I was just getting started with the work seriously. I was still in business, trying to figure out how to get out of there to go and do the things that I really wanted to do in life, and take that big leap forward. And I was very lucky at the onset because I had some very good teachers around me. One of them was an incredible channeler and an accountant. So that's a great use of left brain and right brain. And a great friend of mine. And she would kind of show me the ropes as to what all this is all about, this sort of subtle world between worlds that we discuss and we work with. And we went to Stonehenge one evening. And I lived in England most of my life, so it was not that far for me to travel to. But you know what? When things are near, You never get to them. You end up flying halfway across the world. And we went there one evening back in the day when you could get night access and be left alone with a couple of guards, and they'd go off to do their business. And you get an hour to yourself. It's very quiet. There's nobody around. And I remember her saying, "Well, I'm going to collect my messages," which is her way of picking up the channeling. And she says, "Well, why don't you make yourself useful while you're here and go and find a stone? Remember why you wanted to come to Stonehenge, and you'll find that one of the stones will come and talk to you." And I thought, okay, crazy lady, but that's okay. And I decided to just go off, disappear, give her private space. And I was remembering what I was there for, to find out, what is this all about? What are these temples all about? Why were they built? What can we do with them? And at that moment, the stone just said, "Hi, come over here and sit down." And I thought, no. So I went over there, sat down, put my back to the stone. It was just getting a little drizzly, as it usually does in the south of England, and just closed my eyes. And you're supposed to get about an hour of private time there. And a few seconds later, I heard the guard behind me saying, "Well, in your own time, come back and go over to the hut and we'll make a nice cup of tea for you." And I said to him, "I've just sat down. Can you at least give us an hour?" I said, "Oh no, we've given you extra time. We've given you 2 hours."
Yeah.
And you realize at that moment something's happened. Okay, something has gone very, very wrong. And in that short time, I was getting so many instant images of strange people, humanoid people, with appendages that looked like wings at the back. And he was handing me this sword, and the sword was on fire. And I didn't say anything because I didn't want to look like I was a complete nutcase. So we went off to have dinner, even though it was quite late. And she said, "So how was your experience?" And I said, "Well, I had this strange sort of vision, I think. It was very weird. There's a weird guy, la 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 la." It goes, "You got given the Sword of Light at Stonehenge, your first trip to Stonehenge." I said, "Yeah, what's that all about?" "Well, I need to come and talk to somebody." So the next day we had tea in the afternoon with even more gifted psychic, if there could possibly even be more gifted psychic. She actually works with the police in Britain to solve crimes, and she has a near 100% record of solving crime. So she's good. It's actually in her blood. It's in her family. And they sat down, as psychics do, and said, "You know what happened to this guy yesterday? First visit to Stonehenge. He gets given the Sword of Light by St. Michael, the
Yeah.
Archangel Michael." I went, "What? Who is this Mickey guy?" "It's not Mickey. It's Saint Michael to you, or the Archangel Michael, and you got your work cut out for you." And there's something about the way she said that I knew that my life up to that point was about to end, and a new chapter was about to begin. And 35 years later, here I am. I haven't stopped touring, I haven't stopped writing, and become a very different person. So that's what the writing I come from. It comes from personal experience, and then try to write it in a way where I can connect the dots in a scientific way, but then revert back to the spiritual to show that the two are different sides of the same coin. And it's really to try and convince people who are on the fence about this kind of work, or people who are skeptics, to help them come into the conversation. Because otherwise it's easy, isn't it? Having a conversation with people that are already going to believe what you're going to say. And paradoxically, it's also the greatest amount of work and the greatest challenge to put these books together, to try and give people a foundation of confidence that they can believe that what I'm saying actually holds water.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you don't present it in this, wow, this happened. You don't present it with that sort of starry-eyed approach. You
Oh
present it
no.
very practical, very grounded level. Now, what I really enjoyed about this book, among many things, besides the amazing stories and also the scientific backing that you give about telluric currents, the earth energy that flows in a particular way, and electromagnetism, and the particular stones, particular rocks are going to create more energy, in places than others. But you talk about spirit of place, the spirit of the land, and I thought, oh my gosh, I wrote this is ages ago. I was maybe 26, and I was writing an essay for a graduate English course I was taking at NYU, and our professor was this astounding literary critic, Dennis Donahue, who has passed on now, but he's a Northern Irishman. And I don't even remember the text, but I used the phrase "the spirit of the land" in that essay. And when he wrote his critique, he said, you delivered a glancing blow. You didn't really elaborate on this. And I thought to myself, I don't even know what I meant when I said "spirit of the land." What does that even mean? What does it mean for you when you talk about the spirit of a
Oh,
place?
gods, fairies, goblins, whatever you want to call it, God. People have different phrases for it, but essentially it's the memory of the land, and the memories in everything. I mean, any Native American, since you are in New Mexico, will understand this. Yeah, the spirit is the memory of events. It's the memory of the plants, the rocks, meteorites crashing down. Everything has a memory, which is basically the soul that wraps around any object. Even the rock has a soul that wraps around it, and it's measurable. So when you go there and you have to interact with these places, the best way to do it is to connect with the spirit of the land, even if you don't know what it is, if you can't really imagine it, and then just allow that conversation to take place without any expectation. That's where magic happens. And I mean, if you go to certain parts of the world and you're very attuned and you do this regularly, it's a bit like driving a car. I mean, you kind of petrified when you start off, but now look at you, years later, it's automatic. And
Yes.
that's the way I began. I mean, I was taken to a mound in Ireland that had been a sacred mound, which the church turned into a cemetery. And we were there to cleanse a lot of the energy. People who weren't quite sure that they were dead or what they were doing there. And I
Yeah.
remember one of the way that the spirit of the land presented itself to me. And I remember this as clear as yesterday because it was funny and kind of startling at the same time. We were in a circle around the mound, and there's nobody buried there, by the way. And at the end of this deep meditation, I had my hands down by my side, and it's like someone was holding on to my outstretched hand, but holding me by the finger. And I looked down, and I picked up this little entity
Yeah.
holding on to my finger about this big, completely naked, like with an onion head, a big protruding belly, and little sticks for legs. And I said, "What the hell are you?" And he starts complaining. He wants me to put him down. And he's like, "Well, okay, put him back down." He's a bit touchy, this guy. And I mean, and Isabel, the channeler, and I are laughing at this, and the rest of the group are saying, "What are you looking at?" I said, "Well, I guess he's one of the spirits that's here. It's an entity that still lives here because he's guarding the place. He wants to make sure that nothing is disturbed." So that's one way in Ireland, for example, that entity manifests in a way that the local people can understand. If that happened in Persia, you would have got a genie or a magi because that's their frame of reference. And even though they don't look like that in real life or in their world, they present themselves in a way that we can understand so we can be comfortable, even though you're looking at a turnip head with a big protruding belly. But
Yes.
it's make sure you don't get frightened. So the spirit of the land can be any take on any shape or form. It can even take the shape of wind or rain. I know the Sonawa down in Arizona, whenever they died physically, they would return back to the sky, and they said, "Well, I'm going to come back as the element that the tribe needs to continue forward motion." Oh, we haven't had rain in about a year. Okay, and within minutes it's raining. So that's how it happens. So that's their version of the spirit of the land. So it can mean many things to many different cultures.
Now, you mentioned not being frightened. Is that because the energies are a bit malleable? If you go in with fear, you might experience something that could be fear-inducing?
Oh, that's a very good question because, yeah, you'd never take fear with you because you get back exactly what you're requesting.
Yeah.
It's all about energy. It's all about frequency. So if you go in there afraid, either the spirit of place, the fairies or whatever, they'll respect that and they'll stay away. But it leaves a vacuum for a like entity to come in and say, "Well, I've had a few lifetimes of warfare. I think I'm going to have a chat with you." Or someone has got some unresolved stuff, and they start, they don't mean to sort of take you over. They just found a like person with a like energy, and they think, "Oh, this feels pretty cool. I got someone I can talk to." And then,
Oh,
depending on
wow.
where you are, you can either let it take you over, which you have to give permission anyway. You can't just be overwhelmed by another spirit form. It violates the first law of the universe. You are an entity in your own right. You are a sovereign entity. So you don't take that with you. It's the first rule of mysticism. Learn to control fear and emotion or energy and motion. Once you've got got that sorted out and you realize that there's nothing that can really harm you unless you want it to, you trust the process that everything that you're experiencing is from your point of view, from your intention, is to learn how to communicate this to other people. That's my job. So all I want to do is how can I make sense of this so I can be a better teacher? And I just accept that people are friendly. And I call them people because they're very real in my experience, even though they're invisible most of the time. I
Mhm.
accept that most people are good until they prove otherwise. And then I've got my series of tools to make sure that my integrity is not violated. So I've never been afraid of going into any sacred space. Sometimes I've been a little bit sort of, how shall I say, cautious because there's been a lot of warfare. There are places in Scotland that have had terrible warfare, and you can feel
Yes.
it. It's still there. And you're walking through Culloden or Glencoe. I don't go there by myself because literally it is a little bit unsettling, but that's
Mhm.
about it. It's not my thing. I just walk away. I also clear energy from people's land and people's houses as a side job. And you'd be amazed how many people's houses I go to. There was one not far from my house in Maine that a couple moved house, and it was not far from a telluric current as well. So there's a lot of memory conducted along that current. And the kids didn't want to go upstairs for some reason. It's a lovely house. I mean, it cost them a lot of money. And they called me in, and a friend of mine, and they said, "Can you have a look why our children are feeling apprehensive about going upstairs?" And I said, "Give me your address. I just want to tap into where you are." And I got this horrible vision of a bunch of kids dying in a fire. And I thought,
Oh,
this is not going to be good. I need a second opinion on this. And my colleague and I, we go around the property and collect notes, and then we connect at the end and go, "What do you get?" And we'll share the notes, and we'll get exactly the same thing, so we know we're not making it up. So we cleared all this energy. Basically, I did some research later on without really telling the family. I didn't want to let them know that it is in the record that 120 years ago it was a halfway house, and about 35 kids died there. And we had to remove that spirit of the land from there, put it back to where it needs to go into the other world and say, your time here is done, your trauma's finished. We're going to reset the scale on this property for these people who are in the physical that need this land now. Your time is now over. We appreciate what you did, and we also acknowledge your pain in this horrible thing, but now go back to the light. Boom. The kids didn't even know what we had done. And that evening, they went straight upstairs and they slept fine ever since.
oh, I'm so glad you were able to help. Now, I'm wondering, as far as your own background, Freddie, has anyone said to you, oh, you've got sort of natural psychic or energy worker abilities? Or do you feel like this is something that anybody can develop and you developed it because it's been a part of your work and a part of your experience as you're
Oh
visiting?
no, they thought I was crazy, but they're not my friends anymore, so that's okay. I think I scared them off. Well, some of them are understanding. No, I do believe that we're all born with it. I think up until the age of 7, we still have one foot in the other world. Why? That's why there's so much cot death in the world. People don't understand that the spirit comes into the body of the child for a little bit of time, and it's an agreement between the parents and the child, by the way, which takes a lot of that pain away. This is an agreement before you were born. And they come in to experience the physical and they go, I'm not sure about this. It's a bit physical. And they leave. So up until the age of 7, all kids on the planet still have that choice, which is when you go back to your earliest memories, you remember playing with invisible friends. And
Yes.
your
Yeah.
peers come along and whack you on the back of the head and say, grow up. But I'm only 5, and don't talk to to invisible people and fairies because it's not going to do you well when you grow up, and then your parents put pressure on you, so you forget that you have that ability. But and I was drawing pyramids when I was 3. I didn't really belong with my peers. I kind of make them feel a bit uncomfortable, but there's no one around to tell me what it was. And now looking back at what I know and my experience, and through people that taught me this, said, well, it kind of probably runs in your family. And I thought, actually, my grandmother was incredibly intuitive. She was dirt poor, lived without electricity or a bathroom, and we had everything we needed. I mean, it taught me everything about life. But I know, having watched her and remembering, she could spot a con artist coming from half a mile away. There'll be someone
Yeah.
walking down the rail track in the middle of nowhere, and she goes, "Oh, I don't like this guy." She'd be absolutely right. So everybody has that gut feeling. Okay. She never lost it because when you live in the middle of nowhere on the land, you have to trust your gut feeling. You're more connected to the bushes, the trees, the earth, the herbs, because that's what maintains your calibration to life and helps you survive. So I think I did inherit that from my grandparents, not so much from my parents. I think we jump a generation. My parents had no inkling of what any of this is about. We never got along. But my grandparents, now I understand what they had, and I think I kind of possessed it from them. But I don't think I was ready to really acknowledge and work with this concept because I had to go through my particular incarnation of going after money, a nice house, girls, a nice car, because we had nothing. I mean, that's what I craved. I wanted prosperity because we had nothing. And then I realized I'm not really happy. And that's when my teachers arrive and they go, well, let's try another method. And boom, I just fell straight into it. But anybody can develop this. And in fact, at the back of the book, the third part of the book is all about practical stuff, things I've learned to communicate with the spirit of place and with sacred sites all around the world. And you know what? Even my grandmother could read that and understand it. I wrote it so that everyone could really get to grips on how to appreciate sacred space and really learn to become much more sensitive, which is what it all comes down to.
Yeah. Wonderful. We'll look at that in a few moments. And it is very, very helpful. And I have a few questions about it as well, because it's almost, I feel that you're saying when you go into a portal, go in without expectations that it's going to fix this or that or make this or that perfect. And yet I almost feel like if you know it's a portal, your expectations are going to be there to a degree. Yet there has to be room for some unique experience. Now, you point out there are places on the land where the laws of physics, as we understand them, behave differently. I love that phrase because it's not like, oh, no, according to the laws of physics, that can't happen. It's showing the flexibility in these laws that we don't really take in. In fact, we've been taught against them. We taught against the possibility of their existence. And you point out if you've got your antennae extended, those places can feel like hotspots where the veil between worlds is thinner and the perception of overlapping realities is both apparent and immediate. And I think it's something you really feel inwardly. It's not necessarily something you calculate with the left brain. And
Absolutely.
so I wonder, is that what creates our experience of portals? Because I lived in Sedona, Arizona for 4 years, and it boasts an awful lot on the tourist level of
Well,
having amazing energies.
there's a
And
new portal opening with every new Jeep tour.
yes. Absolutely. I found energies and interesting beings, let's just say, both ET and otherwise, in many, many places in Sedona that they were not advertised and weren't conveniently on the hiking trail. I'm wondering what you're talking about are intuitive responses. Is that what creates our experience of portals? Or could some message or physical or spiritual shift come to us days or even weeks afterwards, maybe in a dream, or maybe as we're washing the dishes? It's not necessarily right there when we're in the cave.
Really
Or
uncomfortable when you're doing the dishes, believe me. No, it's true. But I'm very, very big on getting rid of expectation. But you have to go there with a plan. You can't just walk around, willy-nilly,
okay.
because the spirit of place is going, what do you want? It doesn't give a damn one way or the other. It's got its own life to lead. So if you go there, and what I usually do, because sometimes I don't know what I'm looking for, I go, what's this all about? And they know what I'm saying. I don't have to explain it. They can read the subconscious and go, oh, I know what he's looking for. He's looking to understand the connection between this temple and how that relates to this and that mythology. Because when it comes out of your mouth, it comes out in shorthand, but your brain and your intention has got a big picture in there. And I just let it go. I just go walk about. And sometimes I'm surprised that I'm actually taking in a different direction. I thought I was going to go to that temple.
Yes.
And then I go, wait a minute, boom, you go that way, and it'll be there. The information will be there. I don't expect it. And sometimes it'll be a coincidence or a chance meeting with an old person that engages in conversation. And I'm thinking, I was just thinking about that. And they'll have exactly the information that I want. Or it'll be a dream, or I'll go back home, and a week later, I'll be sitting having, I don't know, fish, and suddenly, oh, that's exactly what it means. And I'll get my notepad and I write it all down, and then I go and research it, and it's there. But you have to have the intention. You have to set some kind of parameter as to what you're looking for and let it go. And believe me, it's the best experience. And the other thing is also to be more mindful. And I have a little trick which I play with people, which is when they said, well, I'm ever so sensitive. Okay, name me 15 sounds you heard in the last 10 minutes before you walked into this room. And they'll say car, door closing, and that's it. They can't think of any more. Right. Now, I want you to go out, go for a long walk, come back in 15 minutes. Okay. And remember every single sound you can possibly think of. And then when they come back and I said, name me 15 sounds, and they can't stop talking. They can even
Yeah.
hear the grass growing. Now you're sensitive, okay? You're sensitive to your environment. If you do that just before you go anywhere near any piece of the land, even in the middle of the city, by the way, and go there with the intention, and just see what happens to your body. Suddenly your body's going to go, oh, I want to go into this pastry shop. I didn't want to have a pastry. Yes, you do, because that building was built on top of an old Native American sacred site. And I'm talking from my coffee shop down the road in Portland, Maine. I know the owner. She's totally into this, by the way. And I asked her, what is it about the building? It's a beautiful building, but what is it about the building? I didn't say anything. And she goes, it's about the feeling. There's something here, something very subtle. I said, that's why I come here for my coffee. And the coffee's really good as well, by the way. Yeah, and also in the same where I am right now. I mean, just in my living room. This is the only place where I can put my computer. It's a small apartment, but it's the only place where there's a telluric current running through the building. So it's feeding me, and I'm feeding it with my work. There's a two-way exchange, and there's also a certain sort of invisible temple in my room that's hardwired with a certain geometry and a temple making technique that I also teach. And guaranteed, of all the places anybody could sit, they're going to go right to the hot spot where the energy is because I put it there. I can move the energy around, locate it, harness it, and people would always, always go to that place and they'll go, "What a lovely place you have here!" And you can see them just sitting down and relaxing. Their shoulders come down after a 5-hour drive. They've picked it up because they become sensitive to the environment. So these little simple techniques are very useful for finding these hotspots anywhere.
So we need to be very present in our bodies and present in our intuitive sense, in our feeling and our sensory presence, rather than up in the head and planning the to-do list and
Yeah,
just going through the day robotically as we're trained from the age of 7, like you point out. I
right.
don't. There's an accident there. So you've actually answered my question because I was going to say, I know you went on a walkabout around the city and found 5 active portals there, and one of them's in your living room. Did you discover that sort of accidentally, the one in your living room, or did it sort of call to you?
Well, it's a long story.
Okay.
I was a best-selling author and I was practically bankrupt. Figure that one out. And I moved back to Britain at this time. I was researching crop circles back then and became an authority on the subject, but I couldn't make a living. And I had a few personal girlfriend issues that kind of destroyed my life a little bit. So I came back here, had a couple of grand left in my pocket. And I wanted to go to San Francisco because I love it. It reminds me of the place where I was born in Portugal. Same 7 cities. We have the same bridge and everything. I love the culture there, and I'm not a gay man, which is kind of strange. But the dating scene's very good because there's a lot of single women who want to date single straight guys. So, but that was my ego talking. My soul was going, perhaps you're thinking of the wrong peninsula. We can't afford to be in San Francisco. How about we go to Portland, Maine, which is exactly the same as San Francisco on a tiny scale. And it's actually affordable. And the only place that I could afford was the only one that actually had the $850 a month rent that I could afford. That was what I wrote down on my notes. I can only afford $850 a month. I want to be downtown in the city because I'm kind of a city guy. I want to walk to my cafe in the afternoon like a Mediterranean guy, and I want to have maybe a palace place as well, maybe a view of the ocean, 13-foot ceilings. You're not asking for very much. Free heating, which is important here in this part of the world, and a free parking space. And I'd seen 5 places which are horrible. I'm running out of money and I'm out of time. And I go into this place in the middle of a snowstorm. And the owners were a lovely old gay couple from New York, lovely people. Still love them to this very day. And they said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm looking for a place." "Are you crazy or foreign?" I said, "I'm both." "Well, we live next door. We'll show you the apartment before the snow comes in." I said, "Okay." And I walk upstairs and I'm getting that tingly wingly, very technical term. And I thought, oh, it can't, oh, I'm getting a really good feel about this place. And I'm walking around, it's got exactly what I wrote down. It was exactly the rent, exactly the free parking, free heating, 12 minutes downtown from Portland, and everything that I wanted. And while he was in the room next door, I thought, just to make sure I'm not making this up, because I so want this expectation. I got my little portable dowsing rods out and I measured all the energy lines coming into the middle of the building. I thought, oh, okay. So it kind of drew me to it because
Yes,
Spirit of
yes.
Place all around America was going, okay, where can we house this guy for 850 a month with free parking in a downtown area that's actually safe? Oh, I know a place. So all the spirits around of the land in America conspired to bring me to where I am now. And I just walked in and I recognized it for what it was. So exactly what I requested, and it's served me ever since. So there's a two-way exchange going on here.
Yes.
So once you develop this affinity for sacred space and what's in it, then it becomes like an extended family, and you can trust them. Don't take them for granted. That's the worst thing. But they'll never let you down. Doesn't mean you're going to get an easy life, because sometimes you come here to learn things the hard way, and that happens to me all the time too. I mean, I'm not perfect. None of us are. If we were, we wouldn't incarnate, would we? So sometimes they give you challenges, but you can rely on them. And the more you rely it, the more it becomes second nature. You can get information, and it can basically lead to a door to, well, goes from one portal to the next, and your life starts moving forward very rapidly. It's a very organic process, essentially.
Really wonderful. And I think that you have been for a long time. If I can hazard a personal comment here, I think you've been moving into recovering gifts that you had in past civilizations, maybe Atlantis, Lemuria, maybe the high point of Egypt, maybe you were a pre-scientist, but it seems
I've been around.
naturally you just naturally enjoy
Yeah.
understanding how energy moves. Yeah, yeah. Wonderful. And it does respond to us as we're responding to it. So
Actually,
yeah,
you
both
brought up
the
a very
question.
good point there, because this explains also why so many people have remembrances when they go to places for the first time.
Yes.
There's
Yeah.
no scientific or rational explanation for that, because your DNA is stronger than your brain. It has a memory from all your past connections. So your brain has to make things up from experience. So if you walk in the middle, let's say Luxor, which is one of my favorites in Egypt, and you go, I remember this, but it's not the way it was when I was here. That's a really silly thing to say, but it's true, because
Oh.
your memory that you've been born with going, oh, this feels like home. And it is. For me, it's like a home away from home. I have a few of those, by the way. But yeah, it is true. It's one way of remembering that you have been there. And then, of course, to work with it to find out, is it useful in this time or is it no longer useful? And then let it go, because sometimes you can carry a lot of dead weight with you from other times, which don't really serve you in this lifetime. It's just kind of, you know, uh, remembrance.
Mhm, mhm. Wonderful. And a big part of the book are these short remembrances from people, sort of almost like short stories. They're only a few pages long, from many different authors, but a number of them describe the same things, basically saying, I remember being here before. And it's very, very beautiful. It's just this wonderful, you get a feeling of this full circle, and that they were meant to come back to this place and to begin remembering who they are. And there's one story in particular, a lot of them snag my attention, but one story in particular that I want to ask you about. I'm just keeping an eye on the
I hope
time
I
here.
remember
Well, I've
it.
got so many questions, and you gave us with your bio some lovely questions. One of them is, are all portals sacred places, or are all sacred places, do all of those contain portals? And that's quite interesting.
Pretty much. I mean, the whole point of sacred space was that it began originally before even humans were here as an electromagnetic and even a gravitational hotspot. And then the difference is not that much. There's only a little shift in the electromagnetic spectrum or the gravitational pull to create that experience. And we now have the techniques and the mechanisms to measure these different frequencies. So when we go to the pyramids or the mounds, there is a difference between outside and inside. So these things are designed to shield the inside from interference. And it's that little shift in the spectrum that allies with your electromagnetic spectrum, because we are electromagnetic beings fundamentally. And that's what creates that shift. And it only requires, this is now known, DNA, which picks up its information from the electromagnetic spectrum all around. If you change the local spectrum just a little bit, DNA goes, what was that? And he goes, I'll take that. Thank you. I'll tell my host what's going on. And that's what basically you pick up and go, oh, I need to adapt to this situation. Well, that's what you're doing. You're adapting to a new environment. You have a window of opportunity to communicate to this other level of reality where you connect with the other world. And that's what essentially forms the basis of sacred space. So in North America, just like in Australia, the Aboriginal people didn't build anything because they are so sensitive to the environment. They can see, they can hear, and they can sense the hotspot. And they'll go there. And there's one outside Santa Fe. I think it's Sikumu, I believe it is. It's on top of a hill just outside Santa Fe. And there's
Mm.
nothing at the top of the hill. I mean, people go there and they're very disappointed. But that's the point. You have to sense the portal that's there, but that's their hotspot, that's their temple.
Mm.
And because so many of us forgot this connection, and because also with war, earthquakes, and the Catholic Church also was highly responsible for destroying so much of this legacy, we began to build temples on these hotspots so that future generations would never forget where they are. So when you really don't know what you're doing and you forgot that you are your own perfect temple, and all the problems of daily life come at you. Someone stole my chariot, my mother hasn't got enough milk to feed me with. It starts
Mm.
degrading that perfect temple, and you forget that you are a spiritual being, and now you're an earthly being, and now you're lost. So they built temples as an insurance policy. And in fact, the Egyptians wrote at the back of the Temple of Watfu, we will continue building temples until people remember that they are the temple. That's a wonderful phrase.
That
And
is brilliant.
it's
Absolutely
brilliant.
brilliant.
It sums it all
Yeah.
up. But they called it an insurance policy as well. Because it is. Because you walk in and you go, and again, don't go in with expectation. Go there with a question, let it go and experience it. And I've never seen people leaving angry. I watch people on my tours, and we're about to leave in about 3 weeks for another one. And I watch them coming in with all the problems on their shoulders. It's a terrible flight. Flight was cancelled. My baggage was lost. I have mortgages to pay. And you sit there at dinner, first dinner, all like this. 10 days later, they're standing up and they don't want to go home because
Mm.
they've changed. Something, it's not because of what I've done, it's because where I took them, where I led them, and let them feel it for themselves.
Yes.
But they have to be part of the solution. I'm the conduit, I guess. I'm just putting them, suggesting a few things, let them pick it up. And by the end of the week, they're picking up subtle things and they go home, they change their lives, and they're completely different people. So the insurance policy is the temple. Every single sacred space on the face of the earth that I can at least think of has always been built on these very subtle points of energy.
How completely wonderful. And we're so conditioned in modern life to forget that we are first and foremost spiritual beings. That's 99% of who we are.
Yeah.
And we're in the sacred geometry. We're not just looking at it as a concept, we're part of it. And we're living it. Absolutely beautiful. I'm just looking at, all right, yeah. In terms of, say, the technical reasons, you talked about the Navajo Sacred Mountain, say Batai, I guess it's pronounced, it's a magnetic hotspot. It's a sacred cave there that contains the exact natural ingredients that amplify the electrical current flowing through the human body, which in turn activates the body's meridians and stimulates the pineal gland. And that's perfect. That's a huge door opening to go into a higher state of consciousness. And then you're saying the indigenous of every continent have always known about these magnetic hotspots, and some call them a portal into the other world. And what do you feel, what is meant by the other world? Is that purely the world of energy, of spirit? And I'm going to comment on
Fourth
this.
dimension, the next other side of the veil, heaven. Every culture has its own variation. The general term is the other world. It's most ancient cultures or either call it the underworld or the upper world or the other world. It's a very generic term.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Wonderful. I just wanted to look at this one amazing story of this woman, Kathleen Dale, who was climbing Glastonbury Tor, which is a fairly steep sort of hill in England. And then there's the ruins of this beautiful church, St. Michael's, at the top. And this is in the book because you share a lot of stories from different people, which is wonderful. It very much underlines
Mm.
everything you're talking about. And she says it was now dusk. The air was like a plasma field. I finally reached the top. I felt my gaze directed to a spot hundreds of yards away, realized I was not alone. And she sees this shadowy figure, and he's got his head bowed and arms crossed. And then after a while, he looks directly at her and he says to her, she feels maybe she's intruding, and her inner guidance says, no, no need to, you can go into the church, no need to worry. And he looks directly at her and says, can you see me? And she says, yes. And then he is she thinks he's heading out the door. It's this large doorway, and she's about to go into the church. Instead, he walks through this huge, thick gray wall of the ruins and disappears. And she's absolutely aghast, and she runs out. And then she sees already, by the time she's out of the church, he's already halfway down the Tor, and she follows him. And he knows that he was sort of assessing her energy before, and she's following, and he stops in this group of trees. She stands, he's looking at him, he gets bigger and bigger, just he grows to almost Hulk-like proportions, and says to her, you cannot come with me. And she understands what that means, that he would be heading to the other world, and she doesn't know who he is. And she thought, I don't care, I'm done with this world, I'm ready to go, I'm fed up. And again, he says, you cannot come with me. And then he dissolves into thin air. And she says, sitting in stunned wonder, I received this message. Gwenapnyud has honored you with his presence and attention. Go now in peace, keep your human heart open, share your open heart with your world. It is very much in need of open hearts. Be brave. And then I thought, I forget who Gwynap is and had to look it up. And he's the Welsh king of the fairies and lord of the other world in Wales. And I just thought, oh my God, what an amazing, amazing moment. The book is full of moments like that, including your picking up the little fella, the little, not exactly elf, I'm not sure what he was.
We
You have
got
a great
hundreds of places like that in Britain. But it's the funny thing is, and this is why I got talked into writing the book. I really didn't want to write another book for quite some time. I don't think I was really ready, and I was kind of talked into the idea. It's like, well, the middle section is going to be people contributing their stories. I thought, oh, I kind of like that. And they didn't know what I was going to write, and I didn't purposely did not read their stories. I want to keep it nice and separate and fresh. I end up validating their work, and they end up validating what I was saying
Yes.
at either side. So it's a wonderful synergy. But the thing is, not many people know about that part of Glastonbury. Is that the place where you think the energy hotspot is on the tour is not where it is; it's behind it. And she picked it up. And also, it's the steep side. You don't walk up the rump, okay, of the hill. That's for tourists. You have to do the work. You have to get up there and get energized because that's where the two telluric currents are flowing
Right.
around the actual hill. It's actually a labyrinth. Not many people know that about Glastonbury Tor. And when you come down the Tor, there is a sort of clearing of trees there. I think they're hazels, if I'm not mistaken. And there is a portal right there. It's a natural doorway. Unless you know the local mythology and you're very sensitive, you won't know what's there. And she picked it right up without anyone telling her. So kudos. She's totally tuned in.
Yeah, it's just the book is full of beautiful stories like that. It's definitely not your average situation. I just want to give out our numbers in case anybody has a question for Freddie. We've got another maybe 13, 14 minutes here. 888 627 6008. That's 888 627 6008. Or you can call 323 744 4831. Again, that's 323 744 4831. We're speaking with author, documentary filmmaker, researcher Freddie Silva about portals and how they are doorways to mystical worlds. Absolutely. I'm just wondering, do you think that the whole of Mount Shasta is potentially a portal because people find different ways into inner earth, and other times they come back and that doorway isn't working anymore? once they've been there and they come back out. And I'm just wondering what you make of Mount Shasta, and if you've been there.
You know, I haven't. I'm going to go near it in October. It's just one of those things. I'm just not ready for it. That's usually how it works. No, that's the problem with active volcanoes. And Shasta's kind of dormant active volcanoes. These places are already full of geomagnetic hotspots and also gravitational effects because of the shifting magma underneath. So you'll find a portal will be over there, and then next week it's going to be over there because it just moves through the earth and keeps shifting. And that's what differentiates the temple from the portal. The portal is in the temple, but the quality of the stone is what anchors the portal to that temple. They use the quartz and the mineral in the stone, and it's carefully chosen, by the way. Some of these stones were brought from like 400 miles away to create
Yeah.
the temple. And the intention goes into the quartz, and the intention is to make sure that the energy does not move. Now, when you've got something like Mount Shasta with the shifting energy fields, boom, it vanishes. Disappears and reappears. Some open, some closed. But there are some which the Native Americans would know that they've been worked on for a long time with consciousness, thousands of years. And that prayer makes sure that no matter what the tube under it is, that portal is not going to go away. So they're literally holding these permanent portals with prayer and thought. So intention is a wonderful stone or an anchoring tool as well. And just because like some places have been destroyed, I mean, Stonehenge has been heavily destroyed over millennia, but it's still there. The energy is still there because of the effect of thousands of years of recurring prayer and adoration, which is still going on every single week. People do go there and they're on the other side of the fence and they project their thought to the stones, and the stone goes, "Thank you." Someone's not taking a selfie for once, and it appreciates it, and the energy is maintained. So what's missing in stone is replenished by the actual thought itself. So it's very clever. You don't have to have the stone necessarily. It's the intention and the constant reinforcement that keeps that portal in a single place. But Shasta,
Mhm.
there's all kinds of things going on because of the very nature of what it is.
Yes, indeed, absolutely. I had a really lovely experience I wasn't expecting at Montezuma's Well, very near
Oh yes.
Sedona. I don't know if you've been there. And these beautiful
Oh yeah.
structures built into the cave, etc. Well, built into the cliff, rather. There are several caves, and I stopped in front of one of them, and it's this Montezuma's Well being this sort of big opening in the earth with a pond at the bottom, of people wondering, and a site of ancient dwelling. And so I stopped in front of this cave, and I saw that I saw all these footprints. All these people had stepped over the rope to go into the cave, which clearly we had no right to be in. And I spoke to the guardian of the cave, or the cave itself, whoever was going to listen, and I apologized for the thoughtlessness. And I said, you're to be revered and respected, and I'm very sorry. And just said thank you, and then walked away. And then as I was coming back, because it's sort of a dead end, I came back, I felt all this beautiful love and thankfulness emanating from the cave, as if its guardian, or it was saying thank you for your respect. And it was just a beautiful moment I'll never forget.
It's
Absolutely wonderful.
It's powerful. Yeah, it
Yeah.
used to be a kind of, I think there was a small meteorite that fell there that created this hole, and then it was ocean back then. And what happened was that the water slowly percolated through the limestone. It's got one of the most potent, most clearest spring water in North America. So again, the memory of prayer. If you follow the work of Masaru Emoto, who's validated the idea that intention can alter the crystalline structure of water in thousands
Yes.
experiments. If people go there and leave their prayers all the time and their intentions, as if the water wasn't good enough to begin with, so you're drinking the affirmation of millions of people, and together with the pure water, it creates this wonderful effect. So, and I'm sure the spirit of the place doesn't appreciate having a piece of rope that doesn't exactly blend in with the landscape. He was more happy for you to go in. It's like it's just a bit of mud, you can get your feet wet.
Yeah.
Yeah, health and safety sometimes they go a little bit too far, but
They
it
go,
is very powerful. And just up the road, the Sinawa, who were part of that region, they were lovely people. I mean, and I don't know why they call them Montezuma's Castle and Montezuma's Well. It's a terrible name. Uh,
yeah, I agree.
Up the road, Montezuma's Castle, which is the cliff dwelling. I love
Yeah.
going there when I'm in Sedona, and I just hang out there and go off a little bit up the beaten track, hide behind a tree, And they're still there. The people are still there. They're in spirit form. They're so pure, so wonderful. I actually dated the girl a while ago who remembers having a lifetime there. She still has that same energy, very fawn-like energy, very
Oh,
soft,
beautiful.
gentle people. And I just love being there. And for me, they're very real. Sometimes I actually see them under the right circumstances. And
Mm.
yeah, the whole area, very, very powerful.
Wow, wonderful. Well, we've got a caller on line 3. Carlton, are you there?
Mine, you knew I was going to call in.
Yeah, okay. He's a friend of the show. Have you got a question for Freddie?
Of course, fascinating that that uh, you've come to join us, Mr. Silva. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Thank
Oh,
you,
my
Caroline,
pleasure.
for bringing his voice to this collective. We listen and watch your work all the time and read your work, sir.
I'm sorry
One
about that.
thing, if this was addressed at the beginning of this conversation, because I wasn't listening at the beginning, skip it. I'll ask another question. Did you discuss what led you to on this path of research and reporting? If not, please share that with us. Because I don't think you actually did you actually like go to college and university for this kind of thing, or was it kind of one thing led to the other? That's question number one. Question number two: what
Yeah,
would you
we
say
actually covered it at the
your
beginning.
mission is? Well, you did cover it.
Yeah, we pretty much covered one of the main experiences
Okay.
that kind of gave me the confidence to
So
come and do this stuff. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the
okay,
University
that's
of
fine. I
Life.
don't want.
Yeah, the University of Life.
yeah. But
Yeah,
Freddie's done
exactly. So
a
please
lot of
tell me
scientific
at this.
study. Freddie's done a
Yeah,
lot of
because no, absolutely. So please tell me then, at this point, through all these experiences you've had, and these awarenesses and the research and connections through multiple frequencies and energies, what at this point do you understand your mission is in this reality? Um, that's number one. And number two, angel. Wonder if you can comment on what your understanding is definition of an angel at this point, and how many times people think they're experiencing an angel and they're really experiencing an ET, or is there really much of a difference? How's that?
Did you say what's? Did you say if I'm the line's not very clear? What's missing in this life?
No, in other
No,
words,
what's your mission?
your mission.
Oh,
MISSION, your
my mission.
mission.
My mission.
Yes,
Oh
yes,
God,
ma'am.
I'm still trying to work it out. I think I'm doing the right thing by, writing books and doing talks and taking people to sacred sites and doing documentaries to show people that if an idiot like me can do it, you can do it too. I think that's what it comes down to. I mean, I've had some really amazing teachers in my life. I've been very lucky. I didn't realize what I was getting myself into, but my subconscious did, of course. And I'm only just now at this point beginning to realize that, yes, I agreed to do this in my previous life, and I've come here to do a certain job. And I'm so attracted to ancient places. They're like my second homes all around the planet. I wish I owned all of them. But the upkeep would be a bit too much. So I guess my mission is to try, it's beginning to become a bit more clear now, is to try and get more people to be confident that they can do this. We don't have to be overwhelmed with all the stuff that's happening around you. I worked for 14 years in media to understand that there's no conspiracy in media to make your life miserable. It's just that people are addicted to bad news. There was one newspaper in England which set the record of saying the intention of this newspaper, and this is in the early 20th century, the intention of the newspaper is to publish good news. And you think, finally, how long do you think that took before the paper went bankrupt? 15 years. We are addicted to conflict, believe it or not. Even spiritual people get caught up in it. I can't believe how many people around me in the spiritual realm got so sucked into all the conspiracy theories around COVID. I mean, none of these theories had any basis in reality. It was just propaganda. And we know where it came from, but we won't go there. And the thing is, the part of what I do is to say, look, you can actually keep the stuff out of your peripheral vision. I mean, you got to keep track of what's going on in your daily life. You can't be an island on this planet. You didn't come here to be an island unless you're Robinson Crusoe, and even he got picked up one day. The idea is to engage, experience, but keep track of what the snakes are doing because you've got to have a finger on a common thing. Just keep all that social media out. Use it as a tool for final communication for what it is. Find out what's going on in the headlines. Let it go. Get on with your life. And this is what I do on my tours, and I tell people the same thing. Switch off the cell phone. Unless you've got dying parents or a business that you have to maintain, keep it to a minimum. I want you, after all the money you're about to waste, to engage with the spirit of place because it's about you. It's not about me, it's about you. I want you to be different 10 days from now from when you arrive. If I've done that to you in 10 days, I've done my job. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just telling you that it's happened to me. It's still happening to me. So if that's possible for me to change my life from becoming, some award-winning creative director in the advertising world who was making a lot of money and being totally miserable to who I am now, you would think that's completely nuts, but I'm talking from experience. So if I can do that, then it's going to be helpful for you too. That's all I care about. I don't care even if people believe me or not. That I'm not here to convince people one way or the other. I'm going to put the facts in front of you, and I'm going to let you figure out the truth, because otherwise you're following my truth, and that's not going to get you anywhere, because I have a soul print that has its own purpose as well. There are other peripheral things I've come here to do, which I'm not going to discuss. That's my personal stuff. So following me is not going to help either. And I've learned following from so many of my heroes. Now I know more about my work and what they do. I can tell you they are not worth following. There's a lot of people out there just taking your money, and they're like confidence tricksters. So the best thing to do is take what works, create your own toolbox, and your experience adds to the toolbox, and off you go. So get out there. My mission is to get you to get out there, experience the sacred places on the land, and come back changed. And as to angels, yes, they're very real. You can call them whatever you want. They come in all shapes or forms, and that's not what they look like, by the way. People in the other world look very differently, and if they showed up in the way that really looked like in the other world, you'd run a mile very quickly because they are weird looking. So they present themselves in a way that's culturally acceptable, and we talked about that at the very beginning with Onion Head that I experienced. I
Yes.
can't get over that story. And basically, you come here, and this is how the big picture works in incarnation. Before you incarnate, you're in this big reference library somewhere in the universe, and you're going through this library, and it's all these books written in light, by the way, which sounds beautiful, blue light. And you pick up this book and you go, that's interesting. There's a guy called Freddie Silver. I'm going to read about this guy's experience. I haven't had that experience as a soul. I want to have this experience. Well, this is where the paradox comes in. You
Yeah.
gather all of these teachers around you in a room and say, listen, I want you to manufacture this experience so I can become this guy, despite the fact that I'm going to be it. So when I become him, he's actually never existed. But paradoxically, I am reading his life story. You've got to get your head wrapped around that one.
Mhm.
And you basically get together with your guides, and they'll say, okay, we'll make sure that when you're 13, you're going to come across this experience, you're going to trip over, horrible things will happen, but it will change you forever into the person that you were meant to be, because the purpose is for you to overcome that experience. That's your purpose in this lifetime. We will give you your friends, your enemies, obstacles, doorways, portals, everything. And the best part is when you get born, you're going to forget about all of this. So that's why there's coincidence and the sudden gut feeling. There's those moments when you recognize as a soul that you've come here. Well, those messages are coming from not just from your soul, they're coming from all your spirit guides. Those are your angels. And a lot of them have had millions of lifetimes. Some of them have done things that you're about to do so they can guide you along the way. And that's where we get the word angels, or agelos, from. It's a Greek term meaning messenger or a watcher, which goes back to the tradition of the Anunnaki, who are not the evil people that a lot of people make out to be. Trust me on this one. That's just propaganda. So the watchers are the intermediaries between the other world and the humans. They are the ones who are helping us out. We all have them. We have lots of them. And the trick is, ask them for help. They can't intervene unless you ask them. That's why they're called watchers. And they said, and I got this from secondhand information through the channel I work with. They said, we're called watchers because we don't have the ability to intervene directly. You have asked for help because you are sovereign beings. So if you ask us for help, we will gladly help you because we know how difficult it is to be in physical form. It's horrible. It's really, really difficult. It hurts. We did it. It hurt then too. So we'll guide you. We'll send you towards the goalpost, but you have got to kick the ball through the goalpost because otherwise it's too damn easy. And they've got a very wicked sense of humor, so watch out for them.
Wonderful. Thank you, Carlton. Thank you for that answer, Freddie. I ought to have opened things up for my co-host also to ask a question. Randy, you've got a question for Freddie. Go ahead, please. And any of the co-hosts who want to jump in, please do as well. We've just got a few minutes left here.
Greetings and hallucinations, Freddie.
Good evening.
There's a place in Canada called the Graveyard of Lake Ontario. It's a small stretch of water off the shores of Prince Edward County, and it is Canada's Bermuda Triangle. Up to 500 ships have disappeared there. So I'm going to like to invite you up. Let's take a tour and go down there and figure out what's going on.
Wow.
Because the fishermen that live there, they won't go anywhere near there.
That's a good advice. If
They won't go anywhere near there because one guy even, his story is he tried to fly his plane over and his plane's flipping, and only because he was a good pilot and he was probably tuned into spirit did he manage to right the plane and get out of there, because the vortexes of the energy were literally, the magnetics were flipping his little Cessna plane.
There's lots of those around the planet, and sometimes they open, they close. And if you're there at the wrong time at the wrong place, then boom, Bermuda's one of them. And they're the same hotspots. They're just much more, how shall I say, convoluted. They're much more raw. They're unstructured. And again, they're just like a body. It sleeps and it wakes up. So sometimes, usually about 11:30 in the morning, that's when these unstructured portals tend to just go a little bit haywire. And they'll come back down for about an hour. And then I think about, what was the other one? 11:30 at night. And also between 2 and 3 in the morning, when we actually interact with the similar energy, we call it REM sleep. That's when you really travel to the other world for a finite moment, and boom, back in your body, you wake up and you want to go to the bathroom. That's how it happens. So there are these unstructured spots everywhere. Yeah, I have actually been up near that area. And yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Even I don't go anywhere near them. I got work to do.
That's right. And in Koh Samui, we had on our little piece on the island, there was a tree there that all the locals, no, bad energy of tree. So what do you mean? Well, no, something wrong with tree. So we went there and stood under the tree, and it rained on us. It's like a little rainbow, and it rained on us. And the staff run away and quit. They weren't ready to see the energy of the land. Was very magical. That land is very magical. So the tree was just, it's hot. I'm going to rain. I'm going to just help you out. And then at the other end of that land, there was another portal, and there were spiders and other beings of other worlds that were guarding it. And they tried to take a picture with my camera when they blew the camera up. So I said, okay, they're not, I guess it was okay to go there because if you had no fear, but not allowed to use technology. So it's like you say, they're all over the things, and we just have to, I use the 3C rule: calm, cool, and collective.
They're self-protecting. They're self-protecting because sometimes that energy is not good for human beings. I mean, it's like sticking your fingers in the electrical outlet. It's not going to work. Yeah, if you have an electromagnetic grid in your body, you only need a little bit of a change for it to affect you. Too much, you die, basically. And I've worked with crop circles to understand how that works. And there are some things that are not meant for people. And I can tell you from experience that I have to go in there, partly because I'm a Taurian. I have to go and lick it and taste it and eat it. It's part of who I am. But I had to actually record the event. I had to film it. And I knew I was going to lose a very expensive camera. And I did. And I was ill for the next 48 hours. It was like sticking your head in the microwave oven. I was only in there for 45 seconds. So, yeah, and that was their way of saying, you really shouldn't come in here. I said, I know, I need some protection. Give me just enough time to take enough pictures and take the film out before you blow up my camera and me. And they literally put a couple of eggs of energy around me. I could see this sort of acid burning through my aura, literally acid burning through. And I thought, I got to get out of here. And I just clipped it by a few seconds and it got me. I mean, I was zapped. So it's there for your own good. If you don't feel right, the spirit of place will say, not ready for this. Come back later.
Mhm. You know, you
Thank
had
you.
that experience. Thank you, Randy. You had the experience of the Devil's Den, just not so injurious. You heard a
Exactly.
voice saying, "Don't go any further."
Yeah, and then I went 3 years later, and I gained more experience, more understanding of what I was really supposed to be doing. I thought I knew it all, big head. Yeah, it spanked me. It really spanked me, and I've been spanked a lot during this work. Sometimes you need a good spanking to get yourself back down and develop less of an ego, and you get back up again. The trick is don't make a habit of it, and you learn as you go along. So 3 years later, I went back to the Devil's Den. Guaranteed, if it's called the Devil, it's going to be good for you anyway, but it's very raw energy. And I wasn't at that stage. I was much more into, girly energy at that point. And I'm still very much into girly energy. I think I'm sort of a strange sort of B-type person in the A-type body. It's a very weird thing. I really don't like masculine energy that much. I don't know why. So for me to go to the Devil's Den takes some effort. But then once I understood it and I really experienced different forms of energy, it let me in. It's like a big red carpet. And it said, oh, you're much more welcome now. You can handle it now. And I could. And now I'm much more comfortable with it. And it's the same with Peru. A lot of people can't handle the Andes temples. They're very raw. I think I was, 52 before I actually got a chance to take a tour there. And I'm glad I waited because I can understand. And now I can't get enough of it because it's raised my level of frequency. So that's what's going to happen to you as well. You're going from temple to temple, building up your resistivity so you can finally go and experience the heavier things in life. If that's your bag, sometimes people just want to have the gentle stuff. It depends who you are. But I've seen people go to the Andes and they get there, and in 24 hours they're on a plane back home with an oxygen mask because they're fried. They're completely fried after only going to two temples. And other people, it's like a drug. It's like, yeah, give me some more of that. They
Yeah.
can't get enough of it because that's how they're hardwired, and it propels them. And it's for men and women. It's not a gender-based energy. Masculine energy and feminine energy are just two polarities of the same thing. It's nothing about gender.
Yeah. Wow. Absolutely brilliant. We really appreciate your input online too. All right, we'll take this one last caller because I would like to get some recommendations from Freddie on how to approach a portal. And he has a really simple, straightforward explanations very near the end of the book on how to do that and how to save yourself time making mistakes and also opening up to having a really beautiful experience. So Padme, that's fine. Go ahead. Have you got a question for Freddie?
Oh, greetings, everyone. How cool! I'm a big fan of the show, as you all know, and thank you for having Freddie on. Lucky us. It's awesome. I had a chance to see you speak right outside of Seattle when you at the Ananda Temple when you wrote Hidden Sacred Path.
Yes.
Scotland's Hidden Sacred Path. Yeah, that was fantastic. It was
Well,
really a great experience, and
they're good
every
groups,
bit as
actually.
fantastic
They're very
in
nice
person.
groups.
Pardon?
They're very nice groups.
Yeah, the energy in the room was wonderful, and you were also, obviously. So I just want to say thank you, and I loved all the things you said about the Armenian language and how close to, I'd call it star language in a way that it is, how primal and yet sacred. So that was really interesting. And then I just had one last question, and that was, what is your next adventure?
Trying to stay cool in this humidity as I'm drowning in sweat in front of you right now. That's why I have linen on this evening. Yeah, we got Florida here in Maine. What the hell's going on with that? My next adventure is going to Portugal to lead two back-to-back tours in about 4 weeks, I think. Then I go to CPAC to present there. Finally, they've invited me. So I'll be up in the Sierra Nevada, which I've always wanted to go hang out in. I've only done Humboldt County, and I'm still recovering from the marijuana. That was 30 years ago. So interesting people up in that part of the world, I imagine. And then I'm planning a couple of other things in the pipeline, which I can't really say for sure what they are. They're gestating. I've had a very challenging year involving love, and you can read that whatever you want. So yeah, it's I think I have the tools for so many things, but even at my I'm not going to say age because I don't talk about age. I talk about mileage. At my mileage, I still don't know how to fix a broken heart. It really wears you out. So I'm taking a year off on this adventure to try and figure out, put myself back together. I feel like Osiris right now. I've been dismembered, and I have to come back as Horus, as a newborn being again, and see where it goes. So right now, my personal adventure is my personal life at the moment. But there's something already gestating another project somewhere on the line because I just finished, Portals, obviously, and the three-part series on Egypt, which I'm very proud of, actually. That was a years of research to get that out, and I finally put that out, and I'm very happy with that documentary. So there's a lot of work has gone on into that. So there's something else in the background. It may have something to do with in northern France and a lot of big stones. So that's as concrete an answer as I can give you right now. My guy.
Perfect. All right. Well, blessings to your aching heart, and they do mend. Don't forget some self-love, and they do mend.
Oh, I drink heavily, believe me, it really works.
All right. Well, I will mute out, and lots of love and light to you and the panel on the show and everyone out there. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Padme. Take care. Randy's asking, where can we see your documentaries, Freddie? Are they on Gaia.com?
Virtually all of them except for two are on Gaia, but they're about to buy another one, I think, on New Zealand. I hope they are. I'm driving a 20-year-old car. I need the money. But they're also available on Vimeo. If you don't want to take out the subscription, you can do an on-demand thing on Vimeo. You pay by title, and you can also have a little library if you want. And it's less, I guess it's less expensive depending on how you do it. So you can get that from my website.
All right. And Freddie's website, of course, is invisibletemple.com. Very, very apropos. So the last thing, Freddie, if somebody is approaching the portal, what's the best way they can do that?
Laugh. Okay. There's 7 principles. I'm not going to go into all of them. I don't want to ruin the book. But one of them is get rid of expectation. Prepare. Make sure there's an intention that you're taking there, so that it makes your time much more affordable. Because some people just go there without knowing what they want, and the spirit of places going, what is the question? What did you come here for? They're good, but they're not that good. They can read you, but they can't go all the way in unless you tell them. Do a bit of fasting as well, preparation. Make your body as light as possible. A lighter body means you can, information can penetrate you much quicker rather than having a physical, dense, body bloated with a lot of water, Coca-Cola, and, lots of meat and stuff. And I'm a meat eater, so I'm, even I avoid meat for that period of time just to allow myself to be much more lighter. So then the information is easier to come in that way. And another one is also, again, to become much more sensitive to your environment. We talked about earlier about the protocol of walking around and listening for 15 minutes to every possible sound that you can hear, and then write it down. How many sounds have I just heard in the last 15 minutes? If you can list 10, you're aware. Your spirit is now aware of the landscape, and your vision starts following. And that's when you start perceiving things through your peripheral vision. And if you keep doing that again and again and again, by the time you walk into the sacred space, you'll see Onion Head, you'll see the Welsh Fairy King, you'll see all these incredible people there because you are now sensitive. That's what you are to begin with. You just forget that you are sensitive. So you put yourself in a mental position where you can be much more sensitive to your environment, and the invisible world starts reaching over to you as well. So those are just some of the simple techniques. They really are very simple. I didn't want to go and write whole chapters on, on mindfulness, because I thought I've read so many books on mindfulness, and some of the best advice was done in one paragraph. And I thought, this is brilliant. This is the best advice I've ever heard. So I like things to be succinct, especially for people who don't have much time to spare in this day and age with, got to put this on social media. So I'm very much aware that we're very busy people, and I want to sort of bring things down to the lowest common denominators. But it is practical, it does work. And again, don't beat yourself up over how long is it going to take. It will take as long as it's necessary for you and at your rate of development. Some people take an entire lifetime, but they'll be on their deathbed and they'll go, I get it. And you crossed over, but that redeems you. That redeems your entire experience. And some people are born with this gift already. They're already, doing incredible things at the age of 3. So it depends on everybody. Don't compare yourself to anyone, because that will just drag you down. You're developing at your own unique rate, and that's what's really important. It's the journey. It's not the destination. It's the journey. That's the important thing.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Freddie Silva, for being here. Researcher. Yeah, absolutely. Researcher, writer, documentary filmmaker. You can find his work at Gaia.com and all of these books. Oh my gosh, so many wonderful books. Scotland's Hidden Sacred Past, The Missing Friends. We had Freddie on a few years ago for that. The Divine Blueprint, First Templar Nation, which I have to get. So many. And then one about crop circles, Secrets in the Fields, Lost Art of Resurrection, which sounds amazing. So go to invisibletemple.com and just take a look at what's there. And then where would people go if they have an interest at some point in doing a tour with you, Freddie?
Patience, which is another aspect of Sacred Site. Learning patience. Go on my mailing list, and then we had so many people now who want to go. I only take as many people as it makes us make a profit, and that's usually about 22 people. And Portugal's only 16 people. So you can imagine when there's 15,000 that want to come with me, there's a problem. So we finally, the woman that runs my tours, my boss in Canada, she says, let's do a lottery. Then people don't have to rush. They're waiting there at midnight or 1 a.m, waiting for the email to come out to be the first 22 people to push the button. And I said, that's a really good idea. We'll put more into a basket, and whatever happens, happens. And usually the right people get to go at the right time. So get on the mailing list, and that's your best chance. And believe me, magic does happen. Some people will show up the last second and they get in because someone else dropped out. All kinds of wonderful things and coincidences happen.
Fantastic. Yeah, I am a strong believer if you're meant to be somewhere, you will end up there, even if you're not aiming for it at the moment. So that's at invisibletemple.com. And thank you again, Freddie, and huge blessings. I hope the book continues to do well. And thank you for all the light you bring.
Oh, and yourself as well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. So, all righty, well, we'll carry on now with the show. And let me see here. All righty. Let us look at the energies. If anybody would like to volunteer to give an energy update, that would be wonderful. Usually one of our Canadian pals, such as Penny or Randy, will speak up, and that would be wonderful. And then we'll go to Rama and Tara, and then to Rama's latest news update. So what do you think of these 888 energies? Either Penny or Randy, either of you like to throw your hat in the ring? Penny, wonderful.
Can you hear me?
Yes, indeed. Love to hear from you.
I'm not really going to say very much, Caroline. I'm still absorbing everything I've been through for the last 10 days. And
all right.
I came back, my feet hit the floor, and last night we had visitors, and today we had visitors, and I've got more to do tomorrow, and I'm just still gone. So I'll have to wait a couple of days. That's all.
That's all right. That's totally fine. We follow. And, I hope that the 888 energies are going to assist and support you in everything that you're experiencing right now. I would send out that blessing to everybody listening. And it is a time of, in some ways, big change, in some ways, tumult. It is a tremendous time on the planet for everybody. Randy, would you like to give us a energy update? I'll pass that talking stick to you. If so, I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
The lions are roaring across the universes.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
is their day. It is a gateway. It is a portal. And we just heard from the portal master.
Yes, we
And to
did.
realize that, like he said, you have to be prepared. So we, on the spiritual side, have been preparing for this particular portal for a very, very long time, because this is a grand one. This is a real beginning of new energies, totally. And we're basically on the Mayan calendar into the new year already. So I've been told that 2025, which we are now, is the big year of change. But before we go through that change, there's a few more turmoils and I call it tumbolinas, which means we're standing on the mountain and we're seeing the other mountain we want to climb. And some of us have to tumble down into the valley and then walk up the other side. Like Freddie said, the other side was where the magic is, not the one side where the tourists go. And these are the things of many different sacred places. When I lived in Asia, there's a place in Laos and there's all these jars. There's a field of jars. Well, that's not where the real thing is. In that field, about half a mile in the other direction, there are some very, very strange stones. What they are is what I got when I looked at them. These was a different civilization of beings that landed there, and the energies turned their craft into total stone. They couldn't get back. They couldn't go back home. So they had to learn and live in that area, in those fields of energy. And a person was there and took a picture, and he caught on the bottom side of the thing what looked like a dragon, the tail of a dragon, like a rainbow tail of a dragon. And it was, you can't experience it in words. It's a feeling. And our senses at this time is everything's off the charts. Every sense you have is being heightened, it's being changed, and you have to keep adapting to it. And by sitting out in nature, you will adapt to it, because you get, like Freddie said, he's got that nice place with the energy in his room. So when you're out in the country, we haven't got all these other energies that are not conducive to you connecting to your higher, call it your spirit, your soul, whatever. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter even what you call it. The whole idea is to keep that connection on all the time. Once you learn to get into that space and learn to live in that space, and it's something you can't shut off. Once you get into that thing and you get into the mindfulness, as he calls it, can't shut it off because it's there all the time. It does become a way of life. So that's my little energy update, because I'm existing on very little sleep, because it was quite a pretty wild cash meeting last night, the energy discussions. And I will say what the discussion was about last night was suicide. What really happens to the soul when there's a suicide? To make a long story very short, that soul is now lost, because the physical soul terminated. You want to look at it from a business point of view, the physical soul terminated the contract with the spiritual soul. So the spiritual soul never got a chance to finish his physical work. So he's lost. Eventually, everything will be healed up. For a while, they are lost. And it does take a very long time to have that healing process because it depends on the trauma that was created by the suicide. So it's a very long meeting, and it was very, very informative of what happens, not only to the person that did the suicide, but the friends and family, what happens to their souls because of that. So I suggest everyone go on to YouTube and find the 550th Knowledge Seekers Workshop. It's very enlightening. I pass the talking stick.
All right. Thank you so much, Randy. That is wonderful. And I think we can go on to Rama and Tara now. If you want to give us your energy update and then the White Knight report, that would be great. And I don't know if Don's trying to do something.
Caroline, this is Micah.
Oh, hi, Micah. Wonderful that you're
Hi
here.
there. I've
I'm
been
so
tuning in. So I've been on the line the whole time.
Oh, okay. Fantastic. Well, have you got an energy update? We would love to hear it.
I do. Thank you very much. And greetings to all of our listeners from around the planet and throughout the cosmos. Well, to bring peace on Earth, we have to bring in full transmutation and teach everyone how to do it. The time is approaching to end nationalism and the old system, to bring about the beginning of one nation, one race, and one soul. It is the hope of... Sorry, my cat. My cat just jumped through the door. Sorry about that. It is the hope of Mr. Cat and knowledge seekers that this coming year will be a turning point for all through the release of new technology and knowledge. New frontiers in science will be achieved. The technology can only proceed and succeed through a mass release of it. All nations will have equal access. If we can transmute masses of people over the next 6 months, one nation, one planet, one race will automatically fall into place. This can take a few hours or a few months. Also, Mr. Keshe has received very direct death threats recently from 2 of the leading nations if he releases the transmutation technology. He takes this seriously, but not much can be done. Should Mr. Keshe be assassinated, then the technology will be released in a different way, all at once and to large numbers, which will be completely out of the government's hands. World leaders have to understand the change or else it will be forced. Knowledge seekers worldwide are creating a mass movement for one nation, one race, one soul. This could very well happen instantly. Because the government feels threatened by the technology as it threatens their built-up income structure, mankind has always put values on things to control others. The world leaders constantly watch what Mr. Keshe does, trying to play a constant game of catch-up, because Mr. Keshe is already 20 moves ahead of them on the chessboard. So let them bring about their own undoing, which is inevitable. They cannot stop the change. Their best chance is to work with us and bring the technology out slowly and in a controlled way. These same powers have tried many times to kill Mr. Keshe over the past couple decades, and yet he has never missed a weekly public teaching throughout those decades. Mr. Keshe said that nobody can stop this change, no matter how strong they are. For clarity, the Keshe Foundation does not make any claims. They just understand what needs to be done. And a script has been written for world peace, and it is set for a certain point in time, and it does not matter who is or is not in power, or whatever else happens. Nothing can stop it. This change is dictated by a much higher structure and not humanity. With that, I'll pass the talking stick back to you, Caroline.
Okay, thank you so much, Micah. I'm sorry, I'm having some technical issues here. Thank you so much for that input. And we certainly put a lot of light around Mr. Cash and just pray for his wellness and safety no matter what. Yeah. So, all right, Ram and Tara, I think we're ready for you to give us the energy update and then the White Knight news report. So I'll pass the talking stick to you.
Greetings. All your commanders, eagles, and angels. What, Rama?
Oh, you gotta bring the mic a little closer.
Oh, can you hear us, Caroline? Caroline?
Yes, that's much better. Yes.
Okay. All right. Here's that little microphone right in front of us. I just wanted to say that the energy is so beautiful around Freddie Silva. Thank you, Caroline, for that interview with him.
Yes, thank you.
He came to Santa Fe and we went, he came to the cinema theater that it's right next to the Tecolote Cafe that's there now, but it's closed now, but it was when it was open and we went there and he walked us through the crop circles. He had a film and he went through all the crop circles and it was just magnificent. And then he spent an extra hour after the film. And Terrence Lovewave was the one that set it up and brought it in there. And the conversations we had in a smaller, intimate group that stayed after. All the interdimensional doorways were open to all the portals while we were sharing with him. And there's nothing like it. Let's just put it that way. And we all have the ability to do this. And I would say that I've been to a number of places in this world where the portals opened and we went in and you can time travel. It's really important to know how to get back where you came from. That's one thing that Rama got a little lesson from Tom the Ringtail Cat when he went to the Garden of the Gods and he walked through the portal, but
no, I didn't walk through the portal.
You were
I was about to, and I called him and he said, just a minute, let's, not rush these kinds of things, and you need to know exactly where you're going, what you're doing.
And how to get back.
And how to get back.
Exactly. But and the portal was to go to Glastonbury Tor.
Yeah, I was looking at Glastonbury Tor. It was a sunny afternoon day, and Tom told me, you don't know what century you're going to end up in. And if you walk through, your phone is going to be a good doorstop for someone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And, you might have to make a campfire and figure out with the people with a Bic lighter, you're not a witch.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But today is 888 Lionsgate. That's
Happy Lionsgate, everyone.
absolutely.
It is the energies, I have no words. It's just awesome to be here.
Yes, Rama has some reporting. Why don't you give that report, Rama?
Yeah, I can just say that all week leading up to this, there have been massive X-class, M-class solar flares. There has been a third Van Allen belt created around Earth, along with the two other Van Allen belts. This is a belt of radiation energies
Positive, very
Positive.
positive.
to
yes.
lift us higher into the fifth dimension. Our scientists aren't talking about it, and I'm amazed, but of course the mainstream media, take it for what it's worth. But it is just getting higher and better each day. And I think that something shifted when Kamala came into the scene and brought Mr. Um,
Tim
Tim
Walls.
Walls.
Wall.
Yeah, something shifted, and
Yeah.
each day things are getting better. I don't know how to describe it except magic is afoot. And this starts on the 26th of July. I sat with 4 deer, and 8 crows on the way to Pecos off the road in the forest just a bit past the El Dorado turnoff, heading north to Las Vegas, New Mexico. It was 11:50 late this morning. They intuitively said to me, Lord Rama, magic is afoot. The rain is coming. Then I received a text message from former New Mexico Senator Max Cole, who has faked his death many moons ago, and he now lives secretly in Taipei, Taiwan. He said to me, Lord Rama, there are many starships being seen in our skies all around the world right now. It is a sign that the light is pouring in from supergalactic center, is raising up every particle of living essence. Even the dark is being raised up. I see galactic people every day here in Taipei, and they see me as well each day as we go through our challenges. Even as we get angry and upset about the news, send more love. That flash is very near. See you in the light of the most radiant one. Sat Nam Namaste, blaze the violet fire. And this is Monday, 29th. I sat with 6 deer and 4 crows on the way up the mountain in the forest on the way to see Ranamu. They intuitively said to me, Lord Rama, there are high energies today. Be calm, be peace. And I received a text message from Rosa from Palestine and Lady Master Nada from an undisclosed location at 11:10 this morning. They said to me, Lord Rama, various countries have begun to pull out their ambassadors in Lebanon today. There is a growing concern that Israel is going to do a major strike on Lebanon. These actions being taken are due to a so-called Israeli strike on a soccer field on the border of Lebanon and Israel in the Golan Heights. And actually, Golan Heights, Israel stole it from Syria. It is Syrian land. So they are unlawfully, illegally occupying that land. And, well, let's say something will change because it is about the higher energies coming in. It's not about war. Meanwhile, there were 4 X-class solar flares in the last 48 hours. This was the 29th. The energies coming in are of the 100th dimension and higher. We are being asked to be in the office of the Christ and share that light with the whole world. As we stay in our hearts and have love and compassion for all these atrocities going on, Love is the answer, not violence. Remember, God is watching us and set and she knows what time it is. All we are saying is give peace a chance. Satnam Namaste, Blaze of Violet Fire. And this is the 30th. I sat with 3 deer and 7 crows off the road in the forest up north of Santa Fe on the way to La Tierra at 11:16 this morning. They ate all the compost I gave them. Then I received a text message from my Sasquatch friend, Bing Del Nor, at 12 p.m. early this afternoon. She said to me, Lord Rama, Israel bombed Beirut in a so-called targeted strike that killed the top Hamas commander. This is the time when we need to focus the violet flame into all the Middle East and blaze the violet fire. Everything that is going on is about escalating global violence. We need to calm the energies down. How we do that is by doing our spiritual practice every day. As we keep a calm heart, there is no hate going on. All we are saying is give peace a chance. Satnam Namaste, Grace the Violet Fire. And this is Wednesday, the 31st. I sat with 4 deer, 3 crows, and 2 hawks today on the hillside above the I Am Sanctuary Temple at 11:15 this morning. They intuitively said to me, Lord Rama, the energies are very intense. Stay calm. Then we did the Adi Shakti mantra 3 times. Then I received a text message from Tom the Ringtail Cat, Larry Curly, and Sweet Angelique the Cat at 11:50 this morning. They all said to me, Greetings, Lord Rama. We are in Paris observing the Olympics. The energies coming in are still very high. We have a new moon coming in on Sunday, August 4th at 7:13 a.m. Eastern Time. There are many X-class flares going on at this time. There might be an aurora borealis going on tonight during along the U.S.-Canadian border. Whatever is going on with the old timeline, please let it all go. Use the violet transmuting flame. The emerald green light and the sapphire blue ray at this time. Focus these rays into all the troubled spots on our planet. We are in the moment where we can change the whole story with our thoughts. There are more of us who want peace here rather than war. Each day, focus on your spiritual work. This is how we change this reality right now. As we are focused so intensely, the darkness falls away and the light pours in. See you in the light of the most radiant one. Satnam Namaste, Grace, Violet Fire. And this is Thursday. I sat with 4 deer, 9 crows, and 2 hawks today on the hillside above the I Am Sanctuary. Oh, I read that one already. No, this is a different one. Above the I Am Sanctuary Temple at 10:48 this mid-morning. They intuitively said to me, Lord Rama, very big energies are coming in today. We smell the rain, and it is hot. Go take shelter. Then I received a text message from Lady Masternada at 11:32 this morning. She said to me, Lord Rama, in Iran, they have buried their top Hamas commander, who was killed by Prime Minister Netanyahu in Beirut. The densely populated capital of Lebanon. Iran has vowed they will retaliate. I can tell you, Lord Rama, there are tremendous energies pouring in at this time. With this 888 Lionsgate on August 8th and the opening of the Syrian Stargate at this time, from now until August 12th, the people who go to the Giza Pyramid can see Orion's belt and the open Syrian Stargate overhead. Meanwhile, the X-class flares continue. Pay no attention to the old timeline stories. What is showing up clearly on this planet is the diversity of who we are. We are all the colors of the rainbow. It is not just black or white. Yet the solutions for the problems right now are very simple. It is what he, the man with the plan, said to the people in the Sermon on the Mount. As we want peace on earth, let it begin with me. There is great power in doing the Adi Shakti mantra every day. See you in the light of the most radiant one. Satnam Namaste, blaze the violet fire. And this is Friday, the 2nd. I sat with 7 deer, 4 crows, and 2 calico cats today, down by the farm where the horse was in the barn. It was 11:15 this morning. They really didn't say anything to me. Instead, we sat in silence and meditated. I kept seeing rainbow rays around all the various animals sitting with me. Then I received a text message from Lady Natasha at 11:59 late this morning. She said to me, greetings, Lord Rama. There was a prisoner swap between Russia and the United States. Close to midnight last night, 3 of the 4 Americans freed from Russia custody to Joint Base Andrews in Maryland in exchange for the Russian British dissident Vladimir Kamuza. They were welcomed by President Biden, Vice President Harris, and their family members. In total, 15 members were freed, including human rights defenders and journalists. 5 of those released were German in return for 8 Russian who were released from prisons in the United States, Germany, Norway, Slovenia, and Poland. Among them was Vladimir Koskov, a convicted Russian assassin, who was in German custody after the 2019 killing of a Chechen woman in Berlin. The solar flares continue. These energies are this new moon in Leo coming this Sunday at 7:13 a.m., bringing the bright Christ light the white Christ-like energy, because of all the recent solar flares in that have gone on since May and June of this year. They have created a third Van Allen belt of magnetic energy around the Earth. So we now have three Van Allen belts circling Mother Gaia. This is lifting all of us into the fifth dimension and higher. See you in the light of the most radiant one. Sat Nam Namaste, blaze violet light. And this is Sunday, the 4th. I sat with 5 deer and 3 crows today off the road in the forest on the way to Abiquiu at 12:30 a.m. early this morning, this afternoon. They intuitively said to me, Lord Rama, the night was very dark with no moon in the sky. Astrologically, the moon went void of course at 6:31 a.m. Eastern Time Saturday morning. Then the moon went into Leo at 7:10 Saturday morning. On Sunday morning, the new moon arrived at 7:13 a.m. Eastern Time. And tonight, Sunday, during our ascension and activation call, Venus will enter Scorpio at 10:23 p.m. The deer and the crows asked me to take care as the energies are in a heightened state of the quickening of all of life. We sat together and did the Adi Shakti mantra 2 times. Satnam Namaste, blaze the violet fire. And this is Monday, the 5th. I sat with 2 deer and 7 crows by the river in the forest behind Port Marcy Park at 11:22 this morning. They intuitively said to me, Lord Rama, it is hot and we are hungry. Please bring us something to eat and drink. Then I received a text message from Lady Master Nada at 12:02, just afternoon. She said to me, Lord Rama, the various forest embassies in Lebanon are asking their personnel to leave and return to their respective countries for safety's sake. There are rumors that Iran will not directly attack Israel, yet they will tell militias and proxies to attack Israel. Please place all of this in the circle of support and blaze the violet fire. Things are there are extraordinarily high frequency energies pouring into Mother Gaia's atmosphere. This has to do with the increased solar flares and that could create an astounding experience for everyone at this time. Magic is afoot, goddess is alive. Satnam, namaste, blaze the violet fire.
Hold on, Rama.
No,
Okay.
getting there. This is Tuesday, the 6th. I shot with 7 deer and 13 crows today on the way to the backside of the Ski Valley mountain on the way to Little Tasuki at 11:09 this morning. They intuitively said to me, Lord Rama, we are making you part of our clan because you come and feed us and bring us water and care for us. Wherever you are, whenever you are anxious or worried, call upon us and we will be there. Then I received a text message from Lady Natasha, 11:35, late this morning. She said to me, Lord Rama, I have been inside Mount Kailash. I have been studying with some Jedi masters who are also Tibetan lamas, and they have been studying the ways of the Force for centuries. They are students of Master Babaji. There are all. Hello.
Sorry, I was talking to the dog. Keep talking.
Oh,
Keep going. Sorry.
Okay.
okay. I'm just, there are all kinds of starships in our atmosphere. The time is now for you are sensing, seeing float ships in the dimensions. This is not just a thing on Earth. This is happening throughout the Milky Way galaxy and throughout the universe of Nebadon. Things are getting higher and better each day. DEI is what is happening every day. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is a huge deal because this is how we bring in the Rainbow Nation. We are all members of the Rainbow Nation. See you in the light of the most radiant. Sat Nam Namaste, Grace of Violet Fire. This was yesterday. I sat with 3 deer and 5 crows before noon off the Bishop's Lodge Road, which is a road right before Santa Fe, which heads up the backside of Ski Valley Mountain to Little Tasuki. They intuitively said to me, Lord Rama, the energies are coming in, big energies are coming in. Be calm and stay centered. Then I received a text message just before 12:30 from Tom the Ringtail Cat, Larry, and Sweet Angelique the Cat. They said to me, Lord Rama, we are near having a bit of trouble seeing. I'm getting there.
You could use this room if you need it.
Oh, it's okay. That'll make it a little harder.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm getting there. They said to me, Lord Rama, we are near the edge of the White Cliffs of Dover,
Right.
where white cliffs that end up in the ocean, sheer cliffs that end up in the ocean. They are very steep. I've gone there. You can look straight down and it's like, you don't want to jump off unless you know how to levitate. There were 2 X-class flares on Monday, August 5th, on your beloved's birthday. These flares could turn into aurora borealis in the next few days. Meanwhile, the energies keep getting higher and higher. Whatever is going on with the matrix, let it all go. We are very much getting an upgrade with these continuous flowing energies coming in as we are in this 8-8 Lion Gate window. Got a segment is watching Mother Gaia now. Call on the goddess. She will lift you out of your samsara. She may give you a goblet of red wine to drink. It is not blood. It is the ruby red primordial energy of the sun. Embrace that energy. It will transcend space and time. See you in the light of the most radiant one. Sat Nam, Namaste, blaze the violet fire. And this is today. I sat with 7 deer and 8 crows, 7 deer and 3 crows on the way to La Cienega in the horse's corral under the big oak tree at 11:21 this morning. They intuitively said to me, Lord Rama, we know you forgot the food today. Tomorrow, please bring it. I won't forget. There is rain in the air. We can smell it. Have a good day. We must be on our way. Then they were off. Then I received a text message from Darby Odell at 12:09 early this morning. He said to me, Lord Rama, earlier I was sitting in Glastonbury Abbey and I had 10 Marcel Vogel crystals laid out in a circle on the marble altar floor. I was calling in Merlin and the dragons. The dragons are here to balance out the other elemental energies with work in unison with each other. As you have noticed, climate disruption is getting worse. It is also the old matrix that is coming down. Yet everything is getting lifted up by the higher energies that continue to come in. The elementals and the other beings of light hold no malice towards humanity. What has happened is that the fallen matrix has enchanted millions of people for 26,000 years until now. The old order is no more. Heed these words. As the land prospers, the people prosper. As we can work with the emerald green ray and the violet transmuted flame, we can clear things up in no time. May you have a blessed day with this 8-8 Lionsgate. See you in the light of the most radiant one. Sat Nam, Namaste, blaze the violet fire. I pass the talking stick to my beloved here.
Well, we just want to do a little housekeeping.
Yes.
And by the 14th, we will require the 3rd week for BBS radio. Every week it's $323.75. We're getting there for the 2nd week. We got until the 14th and then it starts into the 3rd week. We're at 200 and something. What is it, Rama?
273.
273. We need to reach 323. So that's about $50.
Yeah.
And then we have $151 plus for the wind streams around again. And then we have an electric bill, 95.
Yeah.
And Dish Network will be coming around the bend here too next week.
Yes.
I'm just so grateful. we're really completing now this old paradigm. It's behind us. And may the force be with us all.
Yeah.
And thank you, all of us, that whatever we do each day, for each and every one of us, in exchange for being able to live here in a peaceful way and have enough time, money, love, air to breathe. May we all be on the good red road, as they say. I pass this talking stick back to you, Caroline. Thank you so much for bringing Freddie Silver
Yeah,
on with
thank
us.
you.
I have a nice glow going on here. That was great. Thank you.
Oh, I'm glad. He's a brilliant fella, and his books are just amazing. They really take you on an adventure without you having to leave your armchair. And I can believe that thousands of people want to go on his tours. I had actually even thought of that, but yeah, I can believe that they have to hold lotteries to decide who comes in. So, and as he says, the right people will always, those names will come up. So
Yeah,
really,
I would love to go on one of those tours. Yeah,
Let's do it.
after
Now.
after the fact, I don't want to have to go through the Gestapo to go to the airport. No.
No,
I just choose not.
PSA.
don't even talk
Yeah,
about it.
I don't. Since 9/11, I'm waiting for a shuttlecraft.
I know. I know that the coming to terms with arrests are in play now.
Oh, yes.
They are, and we send more love so that all the lessons that are required to learn for all people involved can be done. So be it. And blaze the violet fire. And
Yeah.
we are in the receivership. We're in that line of receivership. So let's keep our hearts open and keep on doing what we do together. Thank you, Caroline. Namaste.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Rama and Tara. Really wonderful to get that extended report, and we'll have it up on the website quite soon, I'm sure. And just huge blessings to all of our really wonderful listeners. And I hope everybody felt, blessed and positive from the show tonight. And let me see here. I'm just going to ask Dawn, music, please. Yeah, these energies are powerful, but then we ask for them. We ask to send this planet. So